I had always believed that life in your 50s was supposed to slow down, soft, predictable days filled with familiar comforts. But that illusion was shattered one damp October evening when I discovered something in my father's old study that changed everything. It started innocently enough. I'd inherited his house after his passing, a sprawling, creaky Victorian manor that felt like it held 1,000 ghosts. My father was a private man, a military historian who'd spent his final years surrounded by dusty tomes and endless notes. I thought I knew everything about him, but as it turned out, I barely scratched the surface. The discovery came as I was packing up the last of his books. My hand brushed against the wooden paneling at the back of a bookshelf. I felt a strange give, like there was something behind it. My pulse quickened. Carefully, I pressed the panel. It clicked inward, revealing a narrow gap, a secret door. I hesitated. My father had been a man of secrets. His quiet demeanor hid a life of mysteries I'd never dared to question. But curiosity burned through me. I pushed the panel open. Behind it was a cramped staircase, descending into darkness. The air smelled of earth and age. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and stepped down carefully. My heart was pounding, each step echoing through the cold stone walls. At the bottom was a small chamber. It was unlike any place in the house. The walls were lined with faded Soviet propaganda posters, and an old desk sat in the middle, covered in scattered papers and a single bottle of vodka with a label I didn't recognize. My father never drank vodka. He was a whiskey man through and through. So why this bottle? And why was this room hidden? I picked up the papers. Most were in Russian, military orders, old correspondence. But one letter caught my eye, written in English. It was addressed to me. Son, if you're reading this, then I trust you are ready to know the truth. This room, and everything in it, is part of who I truly was. Your father was more than the man you knew. The bottle is a key, an invitation. If you will, you'll understand soon enough. My mind raced. My father was a historian, not a spy, or so I thought. As I read on, a story unfolded. My father had been part of a covert network during the Cold War, an informant trading in secrets, dancing on the edge of betrayal and patriotism. The bottle was more than just vodka. It was a symbol, a cipher in their communications. I sank into the old chair, the weight of this revelation pressing down on me. How much of my father's life had been a lie? Or was it all true, and I'd simply never seen it? My phone buzzed in my pocket, snapping me out of my thoughts. It was a message from an unknown number. Now you know. Meet me tomorrow at the old train station. Midnight. Come alone. I stared at the screen. My mouth was dry, my pulse quick. Who was this? And what did they want from me? I glanced back at the bottle. My father's last words echoed in my mind. You'll understand soon enough. I had to know. I barely slept that night, haunted by the cryptic message and the unsettling revelation of my father's past. At precisely 11:55 p.m. I was standing on the cold platform of the abandoned train station. The fog hung low, wrapping the place in a shroud of mystery. I clutched the bottle in one hand, my only connection to this hidden world. My breath clouded in the air as I scanned the darkness for any sign of life. A faint figure emerged from the mist. He was older, maybe in his 60s, wearing a black coat and a fedora that shadowed his face. He walked with measured steps, his posture straight and commanding. You must be Michael's son, he said in a low, accented voice. I'm Mikhail. Your father and I, we were brothers, in a manner of speaking. Brothers? I echoed, my voice unsteady. You mean, spies? He smiled faintly. Not exactly. We were keepers of secrets, guardians of truths the world was never meant to know. He gestured for me to sit on the bench. The air between us was thick with unspoken history. Your father was a good man, Mikhail continued, but he carried a burden. This bottle. It was our code. Each mission, each secret, each betrayal was sealed with a drink from this bottle. To outsiders, it was just vodka. To us, it was a sign, a silent promise to protect or to destroy. I ran my finger over the worn label. The simplicity of the bottle hid so much. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you are his son, and because the game is not over, Mikhail said, his eyes narrowing. There are still pieces in play. Your father left unfinished business that could reshape everything you thought you knew about him, and about yourself. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? Mikhail pulled a small, battered notebook from his coat. He handed it to me. This is the last mission. The names, the locations, the secrets that must never see the light of day. I flipped through the pages. It was written in code, indecipherable to me. But one thing was clear, my father had been deeper in the game than I'd ever imagined. Why me? I said softly. I'm no spy. I'm just a man trying to live his life. Mikhail placed a hand on my shoulder. Because the blood that runs through your veins is the same that ran through his. And because the game never ends, it only changes players. He stood, his eyes glinting with something I couldn't quite read. Take the bottle. Take the notebook. Finish what your father started, or let it die with you. The choice is yours. With that, he turned and vanished into the fog, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the weight of a legacy I hadn't asked for. The days that followed were a blur. I pored over the notebook, each coded word a puzzle, each page a step deeper into a world of secrets and lies. I learned things about my father, about myself, that shook me to my core. I discovered that my father hadn't just been a keeper of secrets, he'd been a man of principle, fighting to protect the world from truths too dangerous to reveal. The bottle became my touchstone, a reminder of the man he was, and the man I had to become. One night, as I sat in the old study, I poured myself a shot of the vodka. It was harsh, burning down my throat, but it was real, and in that moment, I realized that the game wasn't just about spies and shadows. It was about legacy, about family, about the choices we make when no one is watching. I raised the glass to the faded portrait of my father that hung on the wall. To you, Dad, I whispered, and to the secrets we keep. And with that, I took the first step into a world I'd never imagined, and one I was finally ready to claim as my own.